Well, if a lefty mayor gets in there, God help the people of Toronto.
Thank you to the people of Toronto for the trust you've placed in me and the mandate for change as your new mayor.
Toronto, the most diverse city in the world, has finally elected its first non-white mayor in Olivia Chow. So I'm going to break down this incredible victory, but Chow ran on a platform of taxing the rich, expanding public and affordable housing, and investments into public transit, as well as a number of other issues that I'll touch on later on in this video. And this is after over a decade of conservative mayors, including the late Rob Ford and more recently John Tory. Which, by the way, this election only happened because Toronto mayor, former mayor John Tory, who was just reelected a few months ago, was caught cheating on his wife with a staffer. So after that happened, he stepped down. And then this election happened, and now Olivia Chow is the winner. So first, before I get into breaking this down, and I do have a criticism of Olivia Chow later on as well, so it's not all love here, but this is the image she put on Twitter after winning, saying, "Thank you, Toronto." Now, this was a race with, I believe, 105 candidates. So quite a number of choices on the list. So you see here, I mean, in a situation like that, it's impossible for a mayor to get a majority of the vote. But Chow did end up with 37.2% of the vote here, which is just shy of Tory's 40% in the last election, which was a much smaller election in terms of this election here. So, you know, of course, it'd be nice to see majorities here, but it's unlikely with the amount of choices people had. But Anna Bailão was the candidate that was endorsed by former mayor John Tory. Mark Saunders here, the former police chief in Toronto, was endorsed by Doug Ford, the Ontario premier, who you saw at the beginning of this video, warning about a left-wing mayor, and did terribly. So it's important to note here with these, and by the way, Anthony Furey is a conservative columnist. He also underperformed. Olivia Chow outperformed polling, as did Anna Bailão. Mark Saunders, Anthony Furey, and everybody else here, at least the top few in this list, they underperformed. So it really goes to show you that, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what it shows you. But it does show you that ultimately, at the end of the day, people chose the progressive choice, at least the plurality of voters did. Now, I want to address what I said at the beginning, because it is true. Many people don't know this, that Toronto is the most multicultural city in the world. So recognized by both the UN and the BBC as the most diverse city in the world, Toronto stands apart as a benchmark of multiculturalism. Going on to right here, there are over 250 ethnicities present in the Toronto region with 180 different dialects spoken. Just about every corner of the world is represented, from Portugal to Pakistan. It is a very diverse city. I've lived in Toronto on and off for a number of years. It is a fantastic city, and it's really good to see it finally being led by somebody who cares about its people. Now, I want to play for you just the ad that she put out to give you an idea of what Olivia Chow is about.
Right now, you're probably feeling stuck in traffic, waiting for the bus, maybe even stuck between paying rent or buying groceries. I've been there. It shouldn't be this hard. I'm Olivia Chow, and I can't stand by while things get worse. Together, we can build a Toronto that's caring, affordable, and safe. On June 26, support me as your mayor, and together we can.
So you can see there a very uplifting message, a message focused on kitchen table issues, and I'll get to more of those specifics later on in this video. A lot of people know Olivia Chow as Jack Layton's wife, the late Jack Layton, who was the former leader of the NDP federally. But of course, Olivia Chow is much more than that. As Eric Bell pointed out on Twitter, Chow was literally a school board trustee from 1985 to 92, a city councillor from 92 to 2006, and a member of parliament from 2006 to 2014. So she's not just the wife of the late Jack Layton. Also worth noting that after 2014, she also was spending her time investing into people. She turned to university teaching and founded and ran the Institute for Change Leaders, a nonprofit that teaches community organizers how to trigger social change. So Olivia Chow has had a lifelong record of public service. So it's really good to see someone in a position who's put this much work into people have a position like this as the mayor of Toronto. Now, her platform is wide-ranging, so, breaking it all down would take quite some time. But as I said, focused on housing, focused on, the cost of rent, focused on investments into transit, also a tax on the wealthy. But I'll give you a bit of a breakdown here from the Toronto Star. She promised to immediately reverse council-imposed service cuts to the TTC, which is transit, fix the Cafe TO patio program, keep all city libraries open 7 days a week, and rebuild the East Gardiner Expressway at ground level rather than elevated as planned. On housing, a pivotal election issue, Chow pledged to get the city directly involved in construction to create 25,000 city-owned and non-profit-run rent-controlled rental homes, with at least 7,500 of the units below market rent. She also promised a modest property tax hike for 2024, consideration of new user fees, higher land transfer taxes on the sale of pricey homes, and to lobby other governments for a new financial deal to help Toronto fill a pandemic-fueled budget gap that is $1.5 billion just for last year and this year. Now, I want to touch on the housing stuff briefly here, because in Chow's speech, her victory speech, she made a very interesting remark about her upbringing, and I think this is worth noting.
I immigrated here when I was 13 to this place of hope where my family found an affordable apartment in St. Jamestown. My father had mental illness and could not work, but my mother was able to pay the rent and put food on the table. With one single income as a hotel maid. Toronto was a place where I could later afford my own apartment after university.
Olivia Chow's mother was able to raise a family on a single income as a hotel maid in Toronto. The idea of that now is completely insane. If anybody out there thinks that things are easy for kids nowadays, you are out of your goddamn mind. Everything is way more expensive. Housing, rents especially. Just to give you an idea here, from the Financial Post, which is a conservative paper, by the way, you would need an income of at least $120,000 a year. That's just for owning a home. And by the way, this is a conservative estimate. I mean, I'm not really sure on that income. I mean, on that income, you could afford a home if you've had that income for maybe a decade. But apart from that, the average home is well over $1 million in Toronto. And of course, rents are also terrible. Rents are up across Canada as demand has outpaced supply, rising 10.8% to $2,004 in March, according to rentals.ca. In Toronto, average rents are even higher, with a one-bedroom going for $2,500 a month, a 22.2% increase from last year. And it's actually gotten worse. GTA rents hit record $3,000 a month, creating a very alarming situation, as the Star writes here. And this is for purpose-built apartments. $3,000 on average a month. So, look, I'm under no illusions here that Olivia Chow is going to solve all of Toronto's problems. But to have a leader that actually understands that this is an issue is an improvement. Now, from Alex here, just some reactions. So Alex writes, so to recap, Doug Ford, who is the Premier of Ontario, in case you don't know, the Conservative Premier, waits until John Tory is re-elected as mayor before announcing strong mayor powers, only to have Tory resign and be replaced by Olivia Chow. Sweet, sweet justice. Now, this is where we get to my potential criticism here of Olivia Chow, because on these strong mayoral powers, Chow has vowed not to use the so-called strong mayor powers, and she must now marshal majority support on a council that includes campaign rivals and others who endorse them. If you're going to be progressive and you're going to actually win, you have to be willing to use whatever power you have. You have to play their game. If you don't play their game, you're not going to get anything done. So my only criticism here is so far is what Olivia Chow has said that she will do or not do. She should absolutely use these powers to the best of her ability. And a bit more on those powers. So the mayors of Toronto and Ottawa will be able to, this was recently passed by Doug Ford, unilaterally direct city staff to develop policy proposals for council to consider, draft, and table their city's annual budget, create or reorganize municipal departments, and choose the chairs of all committees and boards, including police and health. Now, this may sound bizarre to someone in like New York because your mayor has these powers and more, but this is new for a city like Toronto, that generally the mayor has more soft powers and has to rely more on city council. Here it actually gives the mayor now has more powers similar to those to mayors in like a city like New York. A couple last reactions here from the internet. Luke Savage, a fantastic writer, by the way, tweets out here, in a pretty singular turn of events, Canada's largest city just elected a mayor who was not the preferred candidate of Bay Street, Ontario's premier, or the prime minister. That's right. This is really worth noting that Olivia Chow, while, not the craziest lefty in the world, is someone who is more progressive, more on the left, and was not supported by any of the established powers. This is great. It's to have an actual candidate of the working class is a change of pace for the city of Toronto, and I'm very excited to see what that could mean. Last thing here, Jeff Bickerton tweets out, in less than 9 years, Toronto has shifted from Rob Ford to Olivia Chow as mayor. Congratulations to everyone who made this happen, the campaign workers, the donors, the supporters, the voters, and most of all, to you, Olivia Chow. Bravo. It really is a swing. I mean, from Rob Ford to Olivia Chow, man, it is quite a change, and I am very excited to see what's next.